He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Earlier this week, members of the main journalists' union E2 picketed Stuff's premises in Auckland, Hamilton and Wellington, and a 24-hour stop work is due to be held next week. Now, at the heart of this is a below-inflation pay offer that Dominion Post journalist and E2 delegate Tom Hunt described as an insult to the journalists that Stuff claims to be so proud of. Now, journalism's never been an especially well-paid job, except for a few managers and presenters at the top end of the pay scale, but no major news organisation has had its journalists go on strike for almost a decade and a half. So this week, Hayden Donnell asked Tom Hunt, why now?
It's almost entirely about pay. We've become very close to an agreement with the company, kind of achingly close. What we're trying to get, the union is trying to get everyone to match the cost of living increase, which has been 7.25% over the past year. I don't think anyone disagrees that to keep journalists in the profession, you need to start paying them a bit better. That's not just Stuff, that's across the board. I think every media organisation is starting to realise that. It really comes down to people being able to earn enough to live properly. And we're not talking people earning huge money here. We're not trying to get big increases for people over 100 grand, say, but in almost taking those people right at the bottom out, saying, look, treat them separately, because we all know they have to go up quite a lot more than that.
Now, negotiations ongoing, even as we're talking today, there's going to be more meetings. Journalists' pay has been under pressure for a long time. Even then, it's actually quite rare for this kind of thing to happen and for journalists to go on strike. Why do you think that is?
Well, I've sat through quite a few of these negotiations over the years I've been doing the union stuff. People really want the company to keep going and all that stuff, and there's a lot of sympathy there for the other pressures. So people have been willing to take a smaller increase, than this low, 1-2%, that kind of thing. But what's different now is that real cost of living thing where people just can't afford to keep going the way it is. I talked about that person eating baked beans 3 nights a week. They're not alone. We set up a hardship fund where people earning a bit more can donate and help fund the younger ones or lower paid ones through the industrial action. And the stories out of that, they're absolutely heartbreaking. People are just really struggling to live now, and that's the difference, I think, is that it's gone from not having the nice to haves to not being able to have the need to haves, and that's, I think, why people are really willing to strike. People are really kind of wanting to take a stand this time, and I've never seen it like that.
Maybe people don't know what journalists are paid. So what are journalists paid?
There's very few journalists, anywhere, not just Stuff, who'd be earning in the 6 figures. Most of them are kind of, mid-range, I'd say, would be in the 60 to 70 range. Sadly, if you've got a mortgage, kids, all those kind of things, it's really not enough these days. Literally today, one of our really, really good reporters is having his last day, and, incredibly diligent, all that kind of thing. He just can't afford to stay with us anymore, unfortunately. He's got a kid, got a mortgage, and those realities have come into play.
Now, the company's argument, though, is that, look, its costs are rising. The cost of paper's going up a whole heap. Its subscriptions for papers, they're still falling. Times are tough. It's hard to keep up with inflation. Now, do you have some sympathy for the company's point of view there?
Look, absolutely. That's why we've kept it at the cost of living increase.
Quite a lot of optimism about Stuff when Sinead Boucher bought it for $1. What happened? How has there become increasing disillusionment here?
You're right, there was absolutely a lot of support when Sinead bought it, and hands down, I think it was a great move by her. Back then, I think we wouldn't have a company if it wasn't for that. Really, it's not a feeling against Sinead or the company so much. It's just there seems to have been a kind of almost a breakdown and feels like kind of almost the emperor's new clothes in terms of this pay thing, where now you've got 200 people saying, look, you've got to actually start paying us properly. And I really hope we can actually sit down and sort it out. I don't think anyone holds any grudges against the management, and I know for a fact that reporters on the ground have huge respect for most of their immediate managers, not across the board, but it's not a irreparable situation. We just need to get this sorted out.
There's this other kind of drama or point of contention going on and stuff right now, which is the regional news organisation. There was fear at the time that there would be job cuts in these regional newsrooms. Is that a factor there as well, even though it has turned out that no jobs have been lost?
I mean, it's definitely unsettling when, amongst all this other stuff, you find out there's massive restructuring out there. I think the one thing they did good was have a kind of last in, first off policy. So it meant the people who are really entrenched in the communities out in Southland, Palmerston North, Taranaki, all those places, they're the ones kind of generally staying, which is good. But I mean, it's definitely been unsettling. Whenever there's restructuring of any sort, people definitely are unhappy. And, I guess will come out in the wash how the new system works. I really hope it does work well.
How optimistic are you about the future? There's tough times everywhere right now, but do you think this will get sorted out?
Oh, like when I first started back down in the Nelson Mail about 2005, I was there about for a few weeks, and we got told there's going to be restructuring. And so the whole time I've been here at Stuff and other places, there's always been that kind of uncertainty. But, the company has survived. There's actually been, up until now, has been the longest period of certainty we've had. There really hasn't been any kind of major restructuring. So I think it will continue. I think it will obviously change. It will probably get smaller as time goes on. But, I mean, we're hearing that it's stabilising. So, I really hope it does stay on. I think, New Zealand needs more media companies, not less. I'm tentatively optimistic it will keep going. But it's good journalism will of course suffer if you keep losing good staff. So the people who have been around for a long time are invaluable.
And I guess the real fear is that if there's not survivable wages, particularly in Auckland and Wellington, these kinds of cities, this could become a job that's kind of a hobby almost for the wealthy and well-supported. There might be even less diversity in the industry than there is now.
Yeah, for a lot of people, you almost have to be sponsored into it by slightly wealthier parents who, that you can spend a few years living at home or being looked after, or just being really poor for a few years until you get your wages up. And so, the sad fact of the matter is that does lead to less diversity because, Māori, Pacifica tend not to be as well off. And so, the lack of pay does sadly lead to less diversity.
Now, this may shock you, but a lot of people don't find journalists all that sympathetic, and we're quite poorly trusted, sort of around with used car salesmen and lawyers. What would you say to them?
No, look, I mean, the media has in the past not coated itself in glory. And I think, Stuff has acknowledged quite a few past wrongs there, and we're not alone in that. I like to think that most of the mainstream media in New Zealand tries to be as trustworthy as possible. I've actually been really proud at Stuff of a lot of the work we have done to restore trust. The amount of focus on, getting things right and also fixing things when we get wrong has been, really notable. Look, journalists aren't that liked. I think we're ranked somewhere like used car salesmen in terms of trust. But being on the front line, I can tell you that journalists are hugely trustworthy on the whole.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom.
Hey, thank you.
Dominion Post journalist and E2 Union delegate Tom Hunt talking there to Hayden Donnell. Well, as you heard there, Stuff has also upset its journalists by restructuring local news gathering around the country in a way that will mean fewer reporters in the local newsrooms that produce papers like the Timaru Herald, Southland Times and Manawatu Standard. The plan involved handling news in other centres instead, possibly staffed by the journalists who were in the posts that were disestablished in the local newsrooms. Well, after consulting its staff, Stuff decided to proceed, and that new system begins tomorrow. Each regional newsroom will still have an editor, reporters and visual journalists, and Stuff says all editors, news directors and reporters impacted by the reorganisation will continue to have jobs at Stuff. Well, this week we asked Stuff about what all this might mean for the future of local news and local papers around the country, and we also wanted to talk about that industrial action going on at the moment. Now, Stuff said that wasn't possible right now, but next week they will talk to us about those issues.